Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're looking at something really big happening in Japan, a plan to literally reshape society around its youngest members. It's called the Child-Centered Society, and believe me, it's a direct response to a crisis that we all need to understand.
Okay, so to really get why this is so urgent, we have to start with a pretty tough reality. Looking at this data, you might think the leading cause of death for teenagers would be, accidents or illness, but it's not. For young people in Japan between 10 and 19, it's suicide. Just let that sink in for a second.
And this statistic, it isn't just a number on a chart. It tells a story about a generation facing challenges like never before. You've got intense pressure at school, bullying, a mental health crisis that just seems to get deeper. This isn't some abstract policy debate, It's about the real day-to-day struggles young people are going through.
And to put a number on it, just in 2023, that number was 773. Think about that. 773 kids and teenagers. So when we talk about this new policy, it's not just paperwork in some government office. It's a full-on, urgent response to a national crisis.
What's really, really powerful here is what the young people themselves had to say. They said, I don't want people to have the mindset that they are doing something for us. Wow, that hits hard, right? It's not about being a project or a problem to be fixed. They're asking for something totally different, a fundamental shift. They want to be heard, not just helped. They want a real seat at the table.
So that brings us to the vision. How is the government actually responding to all of this? Well, their answer is this whole new philosophy. It's a complete rethink of how society should work. It's called a child-centered society.
And here's what that actually means. It's this idea that everything, and I mean everything, should be looked at through the lens of a child's well-being. The key word here is opinions. It's about making sure kids are actually heard, that their rights are protected, so that they can just grow up happy. This isn't just about schools. We're talking about everything from city planning to how big companies do business.
Okay, so that's the big vision. But how do you actually do it? Well, the plan basically has three main pillars. And the first one, it starts right at home, by supporting families.
Now, check this out. This chart is fascinating because it shows this direct link between what happens at home and what happens in the economy. So look here. When husbands do basically zero housework, less than half of their wives stay in their careers after having a kid. But, and this is the amazing part, when husbands pitch in for 6 or more hours a day, that number just shoots up to 76%. It's a huge difference.
So to make that happen, the government is rolling out some really concrete policies. We're talking more paternity leave for one. And get this, they're making big companies actually publish the numbers on how many dads are taking that leave. That's huge for accountability. Then you've got more flexible work options, time off for things like school ceremonies. It's all designed to make this idea of working and raising together the new normal.
All right, so after supporting families, we get to the second pillar. And this one is all about protection. It's about building a solid, nationwide safety net so that every single child is safe from harm.
And a really big piece of this puzzle is a brand new landmark law. Basically, it creates a system to make sure that people with a history of sex crimes against children can't get jobs working with them, in places like schools, clubs, places they absolutely shouldn't be.
So here's a look at how it actually works. Let's say you're a school. You send an application to this new Children and Families Agency. They then go and check with the Ministry of Justice to see if there are any red flags, any criminal records. Then they report back to the school. It's a simple, centralized system, and the whole point is to close the loopholes that existed before.
And what's really important to understand here is that there are kind of two levels to this. For places like public schools or official child care centers, these background checks are now mandatory, no exceptions. But for private businesses, think tutoring centers or sports clubs, there's a voluntary certification system. So as a parent, you can look for that seal of approval and know that place is taking safety seriously.
Now, protection isn't just about laws and background checks. It's also about mental health. And that's where things like this Yorisoi hotline come in. It's a free 24/7 hotline that's available in multiple languages. It's there for anyone who needs to talk. And they have specific support for LGBTQ+ youth who can often feel especially alone.
Okay, on to our third and final pillar. This one is all about the future. It's about investing in kids' potential and making sure they have every opportunity to shine. A perfect example of this is something called the STEAM Library. Think of it like a free online treasure chest of knowledge. It gives any kid, anywhere in the country, access to these amazing, high-quality lessons on everything from digital citizenship to sustainability. And this stuff is created by top universities and companies, so it's the real deal.
But it's not all just online. They're also bringing back some incredible real-world experiences. Case in point, the Ship for World Youth program. This is so cool. It's an international exchange where young leaders from all over the world get on a ship together and travel, learning from each other and building these amazing global connections.
So, let's step back for a second. What's next? What does this all add up to? When you look at all these pieces together, supporting families, protecting kids, and investing in their future, what you see is a whole new way of thinking about what it means to raise the next generation.
And really, the big takeaway is this massive shift in priorities. For so long, the conversation was all about quantity. Do we have enough daycare spots? But now the goal is shifting to quality. It's about the happiness, the mental health, the entire well-being of every single child.
Which kind of leaves us with one last big thought. The government can make policies, sure, but creating a true child-centered society, that's on everyone. It takes a real cultural shift in our jobs, in our communities, in our own families. So the question this plan leaves us all with is, what part are you going to play? Thanks for watching The Explainer.